On the Actus Reus Delphi evidence page, it mentioned that on episode 122 of the Best Case Worst Case podcast, it stated that podcast hosts former FBI agent Jim Clemente and former federal prosecutor Francie Hakes, who was the country's first national coordinator for child exploitation prevention and interdiction, said that the old bridge guy sketch was in fact a registered sex offender and was no longer considered a possible suspect, which is why the sketch was removed. The source or sources who told the podcast is unknown, but it is considered credible information due to the high credibility of the hosts. It had been speculated and rumored that old bridge guy was 33-year-old Elliot von Schaffner of Kokomo and Fairmount, Indiana. At approximately 7:20 a.m. on February 10, 2017, a federal search warrant was executed in the 1800 block of West Judson Road in Kokomo, Indiana. Elliot von Schaffner was located alone in the residence and placed in custody for an active Howard County warrant for a felony count of petition to revoke suspended sentence. Law enforcement officers conducted a search of the residence and located an HP laptop computer, a red thumb drive, and a Samsung cell phone.
From Indiana's news leader, Eyewitness News at 6 o'clock starts now.
FBI agents took over a Kokomo house. The investigation there lasted for hours as they hauled out boxes of evidence out of a home.
And here they made an arrest of one person. This person, no stranger to law enforcement. In fact, we've learned today that he has a long criminal history. Kerry Klein has been on the scene in Kokomo throughout the day and has more in our top story tonight.
Yeah, we first broke the news for you this morning around 9 o'clock when we sent out a push alert through our mobile app, immediately followed up by the first photos and details from the scene here on the northwest side of Kokomo. But what happened next even left some neighbors scratching their heads.
I hate to say that there's so much stuff going on in this town.
But even Mike Rodkey was surprised to learn that one of the residents of this home on Judson Road on Kokomo's northwest side was arrested as FBI agents wrapped up their investigation.
Not too much. I mean, I go this up and down all the time going to Kroger's, but you see a lot of cars in there off and on a lot, so.
Elliot Schaffner was taken away in handcuffs by Kokomo City Police. He's 27 years old. A look at his criminal record shed some light on today's arrest. One felony arrest back in 2013. He pled guilty to robbery in exchange for the state dropping 6 other charges, including confinement and theft. Schaffner was sentenced in that case, but court records show at least some of that sentence was suspended. He served some time in a community transition program through Howard County Probation. Then, about 2 weeks ago, the state of Indiana filed a petition to revoke the suspended sentence and instead issued a warrant for his arrest and for him to be held without bond. We're told that arrest today was related to that case. But why the FBI is involved and what else they were looking into today is still uncertain. We talked with the FBI. They told us all of the records at this time are sealed, and it could be days, weeks, even months before we learn why the FBI was here in the first place and what they found. So stay tuned.
All right, thank you, Kerry Klein in Kokomo tonight.
On February 15, 2017, Elliot von Schaffner was charged with 1 count of distribution of visual depictions of minors engaging in sexually explicit conduct, and 1 count of possession of visual depictions of minors engaging in sexually explicit conduct, according to a criminal complaint in the U.S. District Court, Southern District of Indiana. The charges also included a section of criminal code that provides for enhanced penalties for individuals who knowingly possess at least 1 visual depiction of a prepubescent minor who is less than 12 years of age and is engaging in sexually explicit conduct. The complaint reveals Schaffner initiated contact on February 4, 2017 with an undercover federal officer on Kik Messenger, a free instant messaging application for mobile devices. The undercover officer had posted and responded to numerous online messages on specific social media forums, which had been identified as websites, that are frequented by individuals who have a sexual interest in children and incest, according to the documents. He used the username Elliot_90765. During Schaffner's interactions with the undercover officer, Schaffner said about young, incest, etc. that, "I'm really into it. It's my favorite thing." Schaffner later told the officer, who asked him if he was a father with young children, that he had access to a child. He also disclosed to the officer that he was sexually active with a 5-year-old female child. A child molest report was then located at the Kokomo Police Department from 2015 involving Elliot von Schaffner and a then 4-year-old female child. Elliot von Schaffner was in custody and going through federal court for his child sex abuse material charges around the time the Delphi murders occurred. Elliot von Schaffner could not have been the old bridge guy sketch because of this. On September 20, 2017, Elliot von Schaffner was sentenced to 15 years behind bars after pleading guilty to the distribution of visual depictions of minors engaged in sexually explicit conduct. Elliot von Schaffner was additionally sentenced in the Southern District of Indiana to 10 years on supervised release and to pay a $3,000 fine. The plea agreement reached in May 2017 said fines would go toward assisting victims in the case, including seeking counseling, support or treatment. If Elliot von Schaffner wasn't old bridge guy, then who was? It's been speculated online that it could be 2 other registered sex offenders like Aaron Rosworski and Thomas Lincoln Wallace, both from Delphi, Indiana. Jimmy Dale Duvall, another registered sex offender from Kokomo, Indiana, who went to prison for rape of a minor after serving 16 years from a 45-year sentence, was also looked at early on, and a witness thought it could possibly have been him as he bore similar facial characteristics to the sketch. Former Indiana State Police Captain Dave Burston and former Indiana State Police Sergeant Kim Riley both stated that the old bridge guy sketch and old bridge guy is no longer relevant and no longer a person of interest in the investigation, and the new primary focus was on the young bridge guy sketch originally drawn up before the old bridge guy sketch shortly after the murders in February 2017. As time had passed from April 2019, Doug Carter has implied that if you put 2 sketches together that they're one in the same person. I believe he means one as him clean-shaven and one as bridge guy with facial hair. Or the individual should have elements in his facial characteristics from both sketches.
I believe that eventually we're going to be able to say, this person's the killer, and there's a combination of those 2 images that'll land on his face.